Have you ever found yourself debugging code at 3 a.m., wondering if you accidentally wrote a horror movie script instead of a software program? You're not alone. Every programmer has been there, squinting at the screen, trying to find that one missing semicolon that's turned your life into a living nightmare. Today we're diving into the quirks of programming that every coder, from beginners to the seasoned pros, will chuckle and nod along with. So grab your coffee and let's decode these relatable programming quirks together. Hello world. The baby steps into the vast, confusing jungle of coding. It starts off simple, innocent, and then bam, your 500 stack traces deep into what was supposed to be an easy task. Remember the first time you ran a Hello World program? The sense of accomplishment was overwhelming. Fast forward a few years and now you're convinced that every Hello World secretly plots to evolve into a debugging nightmare. We all start with printing Hello World, but it's really just a gateway to countless hours of deciphering why nothing else works quite as smoothly. Explaining what you do as a programmer to family members is like trying to explain quantum physics to a cat. You say, "I build applications," and they hear, "I magically conjure Facebook from thin air." Thanksgiving dinners become impromptu tech support sessions. It's a universal truth for programmers. Your family won't really know what you do, but they're sure it has something to do with fixing printers. Maybe next time, just say you're a wizard. It's technically not that far from the truth, considering the amount of arcane knowledge coding requires. There's a unique type of paranoia that grips you when your code runs perfectly on the first try. It's like accidentally getting a bullseye in darts. Sure, it's technically what you wanted, but it feels so wrong. You comb through your code, convinced it's a trap. You check your logs, expecting catastrophe. Trusting your first successful run is like trusting a cat with a goldfish. It's only a matter of time before something goes horribly wrong. But sometimes, just sometimes, the stars align and your code really is just perfect, or so it seems. Imagine spending hours perfecting a masterpiece only to realize you've been painting on the wrong canvas. That's the life of a programmer who discovers they've been editing the wrong file for hours. The initial denial is strong. No, it must have saved somewhere else, you argue with yourself. But deep down, hours of work lost in the abyss of misdirected effort, leaving you to question all your life choices up to this point. It's a facepalm moment that can only be cured by more caffeine and maybe a few tears. If programming languages had a popularity contest, coffee would win, hands down. It's the fuel that powers the endless loops of debugging and the long nights of coding. Coffee isn't just a beverage, it's a survival tool. It's there during your highest highs, when you finally fix that bug, and your lowest lows, when you realize you've introduced 3 more. Some say the best part of waking up is coffee in your cup. But for programmers, it's coffee in your system, anytime, all the time. Ever experienced the terror of your code suddenly not working and you can't figure out why? It's like a crime scene where the victim is your sanity and the suspect is invisible. One minute everything's fine, the next it's chaos. You backtrack, retrace your steps, but the culprit is elusive, hiding in plain sight. This existential crisis isn't just frustrating, it's a rite of passage for every programmer. It teaches you patience, detective skills, and sometimes how to resist the urge to throw your computer out the window. Enter the rubber duck, an unlikely hero in the world of coding. It's not just a bath toy, it's your rubber-clad debugging buddy. Explaining your code line by line to this unassuming listener can miraculously help you solve problems that hours of staring blankly at your screen could not. It might sound quacky, but talking to a rubber duck can sometimes be the best conversation you'll have all day. It's a judgment-free zone where even the silliest errors come to light. There's a special kind of relief when you find a Stack Overflow thread that matches your exact problem. It's like finding water in a desert. You're not alone. Someone else has suffered the same obscure issue, and better yet, they've conquered it. Reading through the solutions feels like following a treasure map. When you find that golden piece of advice that works, it's almost spiritual. Thank you, anonymous internet geniuses, for saving us from reinventing the wheel, or in our case, the code. They say there are only two hard things in computer science: cache invalidation and naming things. When you've used every logical variable name possible, creativity kicks in. Suddenly you find yourself naming variables after your exes because why not? It's a weird blend of art and science where Tom isn't just a person but also an integer. And as every programmer knows, the more bizarre the name, the less likely someone else will want to mess with your code. It's not just coding, it's a subtle form of territory marking. In the world of programming, sometimes it's the little wins that feel like major victories. That moment when you finally align that div just right, it's pure magic. It might seem small to the outside world, but to you, it's a triumph of pixel-perfect proportions. Celebrate those moments, because in the chaotic universe of coding, every little aligned element is a star in the constellation of your project. Here's to all the small victories that keep us going, one pixel at a time. Got your own funny programming stories? Drop them in the comments below. We'd love to hear your tales of triumph, tragedy, and the occasional triumph again. And remember, if all else fails, just turn the computer off and back on again. It's the age-old solution that sometimes, just sometimes, magically fixes everything. Until next time, keep coding, keep laughing, and maybe keep a rubber duck handy.